when on a good day, he would have, beans and rice, and he could eat foliage as he hiked, and he didn't come home and was all of a sudden living in truth. It was just a wake-up call. It was a little taste of what truth could look like and could feel like. And then we were able to work with him from there to really invite him to keep what he learned in the wilderness and then integrate it into living back home.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So another day, another video, and today this is a little bit of a late one. I am so sorry. We're going to be talking about the 8 passengers, and this video, 8 passengers, Ruby from the 8 passengers, and the overall connections page, which is Jodie Hildebrand and Ruby Franke. I've heard it pronounced either way. Can someone please just clear this one up? These two recently did a video called What is Love, and in it they were explaining how, their own interpretation of loving your own children. They do have a few things to say which I don't 100% agree with. I mean, I'm going to play to you the clips in which I found most interesting, because like I say, a lot of it I don't really agree with. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. I know other content creators have already covered this, I am well aware, but I just want to give them a best shot in just explaining what the hell's going on here. Ruby also goes on to give an example of her interpretation of being loving towards one of her children, where, as we know, one of her eldest basically got sent to a wilderness camp. This was when they were actually doing the 8 passengers channel, when it was up and running, and a lot of people had a lot of things to say about this, and she does actually come on and address it in this video, and I just thought it was super interesting. So without further ado, let us just get on with it.
This takes a very strong soul, because most of us are not even willing to consider not having our children in our lives. And I hope that you'll reconsider, because there are people in your lives, I guarantee you, that are they're inviting you into a dynamic of holding you hostage. If you don't, then I'm gonna. And if I do this and you don't do that, then here's what's gonna happen. And that is just nasty aggression. There's no love in that.
No, that's a transaction. And the people who go into those transactions are people who are desiring approval. They're desiring a place of I say acceptance, but that's not really acceptance. It's this faux acceptance.
So they started this one off on a bit of a weird one already, where Jodie's basically saying, most of us won't even consider the idea of not having our children in our lives, and we hope you'll reconsider this. Like, they're trying to get other people on board with the whole, if you won't do what I say, and if you're not molded to the way that I want you to be, then I'm going to kick you out of my life. Which is a little bit fitting, considering we know that a lot of Ruby's children no longer speak to her. I feel like a lot of their videos is them trying to justify their bad parenting, and I just want to play to you that little bit just once again, just to see what I'm trying to say.
So this takes a very strong soul, because most of us are not even willing to consider not having our children in our lives.
Well, let's give you several real simple softball examples of what love versus distortion looks like. Love versus enabling.
If anyone at any point is confused and lost on what they mean by distortion and this whole, spewing of complicated words that don't really make a lot of sense strung into a sentence, well, distortion in their eyes is basically anything which goes against what their views and beliefs are, and if you are living in distortion, you're not living in truth, hence the reason why it's called Mums of Truth. And in this video, they're basically highlighting the fact that, you don't have to keep your kids around, you don't have to be nice to them, you don't have to allow them into your life if they're living in distortion. This is basically what I've got from it.
Or love versus codependency. Okay, so going on, linking on to what I shared about our family and all of the spoilages that was coming to our porch, it did have damaging effects. There was spoiling in the children.
Okay, she's now talking about her basically being given all of this free stuff that they were given when they were doing the 8 passengers YouTube channel, the family channel. And she was saying how basically all of her kids were being spoiled and they didn't even really care about the items and all of this. And I just want to say, whose fault is this? If you are, if your children are basically unpaid actors being filmed 24/7, and you're then being given a whole load of free stuff, you can't then turn around and be like, my kids are being spoiled, it's just spoiling them. It's like, you have brought this upon yourself. But anyway, let us just see what she has to say.
And one of our children showed up in a real concerning way. And we knew that we had a certain amount of years before this child was going to be an adult and be out on his own. And so we said, what is the most loving thing that we can do for this child?
If she doesn't say put the camera down and stop recording them, then I have officially lost the will to live. I mean, what else could you possibly give to this child other than the right to privacy? Do you know what I mean? Perhaps just stop filming him.
And so we spent weeks and months inviting this child to change, holding this child accountable. And when that wasn't a decision we could see that this child was going to make, we said, okay, what is a visceral experience that we can offer this child as a gift? And having him go to a wilderness therapy camp was what we came up with.
I love how her initial reaction is, how can I fix the child, not how can I fix my parenting to make this better. It was like, no, I don't, do you know what I mean? She's not saying it, but she is saying it. She was blatantly trying to find a fix to this without actually wanting to change how she was doing anything at all. Fair enough, she does say that she did have to put a stop to all the free stuff because it was spoiling her kids. In my eyes, well, they shouldn't have really had it to begin with. Do you know what I mean? Like, she brought all of this upon herself. And instead of her taking time, put the camera down and going, how is their home life affecting them? They just sent him away to a wilderness camp.
Because we didn't want the other children to think that we were condoning the behavior that was going on in the home.
I think the real issue is that they were just too busy filming and doing their own thing to even have a concept over what this child actually needed. So they just thought, we don't want it, affecting our business and affecting everyone else. Let us just send them away. Also, I have got absolutely no idea what this kid even did. I've read the 8 Passengers Reddit thread and I've got some ideas, but none of it warranted sending him away to a wilderness camp. Anything that I've ever read or anything never warranted this extreme level of parenting. Let me just tell you that.
And we wanted to give this child the best shot at truth. And his understanding of love was, give me. I want what I want. And if you don't give me what I want, then you don't love me.
Yes, because his behavior was a byproduct of the way that you guys have been treating them and how you've been behaving and how it was extremely, monetary gain, wanting all the different things, blah, blah, blah. And you're now punishing him for it. If anything, I think Ruby should have bloody gone to a wilderness camp. Why didn't she go to the wilderness camp? It sounds like she was the one who needed to know not to treat and not to do this kind of stuff to her kids. It sounds like she needed the therapy more than he did.
So he went to a wilderness therapy camp, and he was there living on the ground of the Arizona desert for months. And he because he was separated from the distraction, because he was separated from the addictions that he had at home, and he was only face to face with literally the earth.
What addictions is this woman talking about? Can someone just enlighten me? Because as far as I am aware, it wasn't, drug addiction. It wasn't anything like that. It was stuff which was purely created on her behalf. And I'm just like, if my parents had sent me something for something that which didn't even sound is a minor thing for months living in a desert. I get that some people like that kind of thing, but if I was being sent there not of my own free will, I would never talk to you ever again, especially if it was for a minor thing. I honestly, it makes me cry. It honestly makes me so upset. I do get that some of these camps are built for purpose and whatever. I would never, ever, ever do it to my kids in a million years. But do you know what I mean? Like reform camps and all of that. It didn't sound like it was that big of an offence, whatever this kid was doing. I don't think she knows what a badly behaved child is, even if they smacked her in the face. Like, she doesn't understand. I can't with this lady.
It was him, the sun, and the dirt. And when on a good day, he would have, beans and rice. And he could eat foliage as he hiked. He would distill water from streams. He learned how to build a fire from sticks. he started developing, oh, I can survive. I can do hard things. I'm still here without getting everything that I want.
Well, I think all of those things are really important life skills to have, you know, be able to fend for yourself, light a fire, hunt for food. Like, I think that's a really good, you know, gatherer hunter instinct. I do appreciate that. I think everyone should know a little bit on how to do it. But well and truly, not under those circumstances. I think every single thing she's saying sounds like, because of Ruby's bad parenting and bad choices, she's then put that on her kid. She should have been the one to bloody go to this camp.
And he didn't come home and was all of a sudden living in truth. It was just a wake-up call. It was a little taste of what truth could look like and could feel like. And then we were able to work with him from there to really invite him to keep what he learned in the wilderness and then integrate it into living back home.
The thing is, if he's getting all of these problems from being back at home and the home situation is not fixed, how do you think it's going to get any better? You're literally punishing him for things that you have created at home, and that's something I can't quite get my head around here. We're not talking about a really, really badly behaved kid under any circumstances. We're talking about a kid that's obviously just been spoiled a little bit of all of the stuff, but is also used to being filmed all the bloody time and probably has anxiety over it. So what do? You'd chuck him out to a wilderness camp.
Wouldn't you say that now that he's got some years on him from that experience, that he would say, thank you, I can see the love?
He has told me, I've lost track of how many times he said, Mom, the most amazing memory that I have was going to that wilderness therapy camp. I have such fond memories. There was, and he'll tell me there was one time he was climbing a mountain, practically straight up. If he fell, it would be to his doom. And he had a big pack on his back, and he said, Mom, I did it. And I prayed. I gained a relationship with God.
Forgive my ignorance, please, but isn't this one of the kids that also no longer speaks to her? I just don't buy any of this. They might be thankful for the fact that they got to learn these cool-ass survival skills, don't get me wrong, but the fact that she was just so nonchalantly saying he could have fallen to his death, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, really, I just couldn't imagine putting a kid underneath that amount of stress and strain, especially if they hadn't done anything wrong in the very first place. It just screams, in my eyes, I'm really sorry, it just screams narcissism. It well and truly does. She just doesn't seem to realise that she is the lead. Her and her husband were the cause of this problem to begin with. And instead of trying to change up what they were doing at home, they decided to just send him. I know I've said this about a million times, but it's the way that she's so easily able to retell all of this. And you know what? Quite a few people were saying, I've read the Reddit thread, a lot of people were saying that, you know, when this kid actually came back from this camp, they didn't look the same. They weren't the same. They looked quiet and more timid. And you do hear stories about these kind of camps where bad stuff goes on and it's completely unregulated. They're in the middle of bloody nowhere. How are you going to know what's happening to your baby? It's just horrible.
On that trip, and I will never forget it. You gave me my life back by taking my life away, and it was just the greatest gift that he'd ever been given. And he's already said, I don't ever want to go back to the life I was living before.
It's hardly surprising that he doesn't want to go back to the life he's living before. It's hardly surprising. Who the hell wants to be filmed all the time? Who wants to have that much scrutiny? Who the hell wants to be judged on camera like that all the time? Not me. I think this whole wilderness camp thing was strange when it happened, and it's even stranger when Ruby is trying to justify it and trying to act like it's a positive thing. I'm not really buying it, to be honest. Anyway, what do you guys think about that? I'm so sorry it's a little bit later. I'm so sorry. I'm still moving my stuff around. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.
It was him, the sun, and the dirt.